it was a shock because of the different people it was there, because we wasn't used to being around a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but what was good about that was it taught us to accept other people, because we were there for one common cause, and that was the music. One common cause. Great people, great friendships came out of you know those situations, man, and like it just changed my life completely. You know, it gave me a different perspective on life.
Today's Tuesday,
21st, I believe.
21st of September, 2021. Who are we speaking with?
Oh, we're speaking to Roger.
So where were you?
Roger Dodger.
I love it. Roger Dodger.
Roger Dodger.
Tell people who Roger Dodger is.
Roger Dodger is this I don't know, a free-spirited guy, you know, a guy that like to have a lot of fun, but I really took dancing serious.
Mm.
You know, from the time I entered the clubs, it was about business for me. You know, I think the first club I went to was probably Ozone Layer. Nobody speak about Ozone Layer too much. You know, I was checking out your interview with Willie Dancer, my buddy, and I think he missed that part. You know, Ozone, you know, coming from Brooklyn, you know, you had your Brooklyn dancers, you had your groups and stuff like that. But the people that I hung out with, you know, we were just, you know, Flatbush Avenue was pretty close to us. So we were able to go over there and see what was going on and get ready for when we was ready to go over the bridge to Manhattan, you know. So Ozone Layer was the first club I went into.
So let me pause you right there. So I'm going to do this throughout the interview. I'm not trying to mess you up. I just want to provide the background. So for people, tell people what the Ozone Layer was. Describe the club, the interior. Was it like a 50-person club, a 500-person club? Who was the DJ? What was the night to go? What's the dress code? Like, just paint us a picture of like walking into the Ozone Layer. And like also, what era was this? Was this 82? Was this 96? Like, you know.
This was the 80s. It was like the mid 80s. Ozone Layer was on Flatbush Avenue. It was, you would call, it was like on top of a store. And you would go up these steep stairs. When you got up the stairs, the place would open up. It was probably about, I would say maximum capacity was probably like 150, something like that. As you got in, it's spaced out, but you had these windows that you could look out right on the Flatbush Avenue. You had these seats that you could sit along the side and stuff like that. And you could go to they had like another little room on the other side, close to the like bar area and stuff like that. But Ozone had this floor, man. The floor was slick. David Morales, a lot of people don't even talk about him anymore. That was his house. And all the Brooklyn guys represented in there. I mean, like the Michael Dungies, the Dockeries, I mean, you name it, you know, they was there. Guys from Manhattan came over. I mean, Ozone Layer was special. It was just special. And it was home, you know. You didn't have to go too far to get back home, you know. So I enjoyed the Ozone Layer. I had a couple good experiences in Ozone Layer. I had a bad experience in Ozone Layer, but it was all on the dance floor.
What was the bad experience? Oh,
well, the bad experience was I always mess with him to this day. I'm not gonna say his name, but he knows exactly who he is. And it was this one specific night I went. It was a Friday night. Friday nights was Ozone Layer night. I think they also had a Wednesday too, but I'll say Friday night. And I just learned this backflip, right? So I thought by learning the backflip that I had everything, together. And I remember I had these capizios on, and really I shouldn't have had capizios on a slick floor in the ozone layer. So there's no brakes at all. And a couple of buddies of mine were, having a couple of quarts. It was quarter beer back then, old gold and stuff like that. And I was a little tipsy, and I went out there and I was trying to show my stuff. And good friend of mine to this day, he came out there and really put me in my place, man. And I really had to sit down and watch this guy and learn and understand that, hey, you know what? You better get your shit together before you come out here. And you better never, ever, ever be drunk or drinking or under the influence and think you're going to go out there and really, really dance. Never happened again. Never happened again. So that was my experience in the ozone layer. I'll never forget that night.
Wow, that's awesome. And talk about the good experiences of the ozone layer.
Oh, it was just fun. I mean, like, you were close, you was home, you knew people, and, it was like in that home atmosphere, it was comfortable. That was the good experience I had in ozone layer. It was a comfortable spot.
Now let's talk about safety, because in the 80s clubs, at the hip hop clubs, you were getting vicked for your sheepskin, for your shell top Adidas. Was it that kind of energy at the ozone layer, or was that?
Not at all, not at all. You see, I'm coming from, when I'm, okay, good thought, because I'm coming from environments like that in the party world. I'm coming from Harlem world. I'm coming from the Fever. I'm coming from Broadway International. I'm coming from Bonds. Even Bonds was tough back then. So there were kind of like hip hop clubs back then, and those were tough clubs. But the clubs that we're talking about, no, never had a problem in those kind of issues. Never. Safe. It was very safe.
Now explain to folks in the sort of, I'll call it the club, whatever, house scene, because that era, I don't know if you call that era club music or house music. It's kind of like it's a hybrid, but explain to folks about the dancing. Describe the kind of dancing that happened there, right? It wasn't couples dancing, correct?
Oh, yeah. Well, let me tell you, what inspired me to want to dance. The first time I was in the garage, and I was able to see, God bless the dead, Harry and Becky. It was like at the end of the night, and the floor, all the regular party people, they were leaving, and we were staying late. And all of a sudden, I just seen this guy and this girl just in the middle of the dance floor, and it was amazing to me, man. I never seen anything like it. And I didn't even know your body could do these things. And that was the night I decided that this is what I wanted to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So take us back. So after the ozone layer, what other clubs did you start going to after that?
Well, okay, let's go back a little further. All right. This was the deal about the clubs, the dancing, how we got into it. You had Mike Dungy, you had, again, Doc, you had Flame, you had a few guys, and I believe it was the City Steppers. Our friend that we grew up with, his sisters was a part of that. So they were always in his basement working out. So, we would go, we would watch, and we just, we got a little taste of it. So we knew what we was kind of getting into. Then when we finally got to the club, it was just, everything just kind of came together, So like we would go to the club and come right back to the basement, practice, no sleep, just practice and practice. Like this is what we wanted to do, man. We lived and we breathed this stuff, man, like from early, and we didn't know what we was doing, We really didn't. We just wanted to be a part of something, other than the street. Because, quite frankly, that's where we was. We were in the street. Mm-hmm. So I would say with the club situation, the dancing, it saved a lot of our lives. Mm-hmm. Definitely did. It gave us something else. We had the opportunities to spin records and be a DJ and be in hip hop and be rappers and stuff like that. But that was it was kind of a little too crazy. But this was different. So we stuck with it. So like the Paradise Garage, what it did for us as young guys, like I said, we were mainly, hanging out in the street and stuff like that. So now we go to the garage and we're around a whole bunch of different people.
Let's take a step back. How did you discover the garage and describe the first time going there? What did that feel like?
Okay, so same friend of mine that we used to go down the basement and practice and stuff like that. He had a couple of friends, and they were twins, and they actually happened to live in the same neighborhood that I lived in. So they decided, hey, you want to come? So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm going to go to this party with you guys. Okay, it's the garage. Okay, it's time, So we go there, and I'm uncomfortable.
Because
it was just a crowd that I really wasn't ready for. It was a club that I wasn't ready for. It was an atmosphere. It was a part. I wasn't ready for any of it. But her name was Stacy, and she took me to the club, man. I walked up that ramp, saw the glass room. I went upstairs to the roof, saw the back room, saw the stage, saw the other side. I was all over the place, man. And that was the night when I saw, Perry and Becky dancing, man. And I said, this is for me right here. But like I said, it was a shock because of the different people it was there, because we wasn't used to being around a lot of other people. Mm-hmm. Okay. But what was good about that was it taught us to accept other people, because we were there for one common cause, and that was the music. One common cause. Great people, great friendships came out of those situations, man, and like it just changed my life completely. It gave me a different perspective on life.
Wow. And then how often would you go to the garage?
Oh, the garage was once a week. So, well, actually once or twice a week. But see, like when I came in, it was the garage on Friday. It was the Loft on Saturday. Now, there were situations where we would go to the garage on Saturday because Larry would be playing the music better on Saturdays than he would on Fridays. So anyway, if you were a little phobic, you would have to cut that phobia out to be able to go over on Saturday nights and enjoy yourself because you were there for the music. Okay. The Loft to me was more, when we first got to the Loft, people used to say this and then people would deny this also, but it was a little cliquish. Everybody had their little clique, and it was like, you had to be sponsored in and stuff like that, and you had to be legit. You couldn't go in the Loft and, pussyfoot around, so to speak. You had to go in there and put your work in. It wasn't a battle thing, but one thing about dancers, they're all proud people. And everybody was ready to show their stuff. Like I heard Willie said, David didn't, he didn't mix the music. He didn't have to, because we were ready to applaud whatever he was going to play in there anyway. I mean, he made the atmosphere so welcoming you know, and childlike and toys and the balloons and the, you know, you bought your own beverages there. You know, you had a refrigerator that you could bring your beer in. Yeah. You know, you had this big table laid out with, you know, fruit and a punch bowl, and man, it was a great time, man. I think my best parties in the Loft was probably all the anniversary parties. They're just really nice parties, man. And you know, everybody, you know, was there to party and have a good time.
Now, the Loft had many different locations. Which ones did you go to?
Well, I never went to 99 Prince Street. Never went there. Just a little too young. But when it got to 3rd Street, yeah, I was all the way there. I mean, we went from the garage to the Loft. Now we're from Brooklyn. We're not going home after the garage. We're camping out in Washington Square Park. And I'm wondering, like, did we even take showers? You know what I mean? Like, we wanted to that party so bad, you know, that we would stay out in Washington Square Park till 12 o'clock the next night, you know what I mean, where the doors open, and, you know, we'll go in there and we'll be there again another 2, 3 in the afternoon. You know, and, you know, guys had jobs. Some guys had jobs. We didn't really have any jobs. So, you know, the only thing we thought about was just getting enough money to get to the club for the weekend. You know?
Wow. And then describe the dancing in the Loft. Because some people call it lofting. Some people don't like to use the term lofting. I know there was upstairs and downstairs, and maybe there was different dancing. So explain that for folks. Explain the dancing.
Well, I don't think naming the Loft, I mean the dance, I don't believe in naming it the Loft. I believe you can be a lofter, but naming the dance the Loft, nah. Because so many different people from different walks of life, they did their own thing, and that's what it was all about. It was just people perfected whatever they can do, and it made it so unique. You know what I mean? That, like, you could never go copy anybody's stuff. You know what I mean? Because it was just, people did things to fit their bodies. You know, they didn't go above and beyond what they can do, you know, and it just made it just like a big, beautiful, you know, bowl of whatever, but it was good. You know what I mean? Everybody had their own unique thing about doing what they did. You know, like, you know, you had your karate Christians, and he was just really into the martial arts. You know, you had quite a few guys that really had martial art backgrounds, you know, and, you know, some of this dance guys study, you know, Bruce Lee movies and karate movies and stuff like that. You know, some guys, you know, they was into looking at Alvin Ailey. Some guys was into looking at Baricklacroft. Some, you know, like Fred Astaire. We watched Fred Astaire movies. You know what I mean? Ginger Rogers. You know, we studied this stuff. You know.
Wow. And then, were you in a dance group, or did you dance solo?
Solo. I would say we kind of had a little crew, but, you know, after a while, you know, guys just, you know, started, you know, going their separate ways, doing their own thing, whatever. But I would say solo, but I think we started off as just, you know, like just a little 4 or 5 of us really took it serious at one time, you know, and, you know, then we'll have friends that when we go out, they'll be there already. So, you know, we'll link up with them, and, you know, we'll hang out in a certain area, and, you know, we'll bust our moves and stuff like that. And, you know.
Then talk about dating. Did you ever hook up with people you met in the club, or you just go there specifically to just, I want to like dance?
Where's my wife?
Okay, we can skip that question if you want.
I'll tell you what, man. the best dancers had the best girls.
That's all you got.
So if you wanted a good girl, you better learn how to dance pretty good. But yeah, there were a lot of relationships in the club. A lot of relationships. And I kind of, it got kind of weird to me after a while because it was like, you know, like you could be involved with this person, and that person was involved with that person that you know, and you know that person was involved with that person. It was just a bowl of soup, you know what I mean? And to this day, they still do it, you know. And it's like at some point in your life, you got to step away from that stuff, man. You really do, man. You know, countless relationships, man. Countless relationships, man. Really. But that's what it was about. I mean, the attraction, you know, you want to go out there. If you put your work in, she's putting her work in, you guys are grooving, you know what I mean? It's gonna, you're part of the same fraternity. So you're gonna see each other from time to time. You know, one night you might just end up grooving with this person. Next thing you know, these guys are a couple. You know, it just happened like that, you know. But knowing each other and, you know, and back then, like, it was weird because, you know, in the relationships, and we knew that, like, you know, like AIDS was just starting to, you know, really pop up in that time. And, you know, you had to be careful, man. You really had to be careful back then. So,
wow. Let's go back to
we lost a lot of people to that. You know, we really lost, you know, we lost a lot of people to that, man.
Let's go back to some of the early clubs. Describe Harlem World. Where was it? What was it like? Tell us how the vibe, the experience, the sound.
Man, look, Harlem World. I think I was maybe 16. I think you had to be like 16 to get in. I probably was just about that age, about 16, 17. And there's like 4 or 5 of us. No, it was about 8 of us. We went up to Harlem World right on 116th Lenox Avenue, which I believe is a supermarket today or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got in there, man, and that's the first time I ever felt like I was an adult. You know, it was just, it was crazy, man. It was a good atmosphere. It was dancing. It was hip hop. It was, you know, guys was on the mic. I mean, Cold Crush Brothers, Starsky, I think it was probably like Busy Bee and those, man, that was a good time. That was a good time, but that didn't last long because later on we started really getting in, you know, to the club stuff. You know, like that, Harlem World, you know, but we did these clubs. See, we did these clubs on holidays. We didn't do them like a regular Saturday night and stuff like that. We'll, you know, like the Fever, we're going there Christmas, you know. Harlem World, we're going there Easter, something like that. We're putting on our best, you know. We got our 2-piece, you know, tailor-made suits on, our Clarks, you know, British Walkers, you know. We got Kangos on, you know, yeah.
You're bringing back memories. You said British Walkers. I said throwback.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, sir, man. We had a good time, you know. And then we did, you know, stuff like I don't know if you ever heard like Skate City, you know, in Brooklyn. That was a big joint we used to go to, you know, the Roxy. They had this skating ring in the Bronx. I forgot the name. Skate Key. We used to go to Skate Key.
That was a spot.
And just show up, you know, and we wasn't doing nothing. We wasn't skating and we wasn't dancing. So I don't even know why we was there in the first place. You know?
Yeah.
In the Bronx.
In the BX. And that's Skate Key is far too. That's not just like 138th. That's like that's deep.
Look, man, we talking about 2-3 trains.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, to get back home.
Yeah.
You know, and if we did, let me see, New Year's, you couldn't get a cab to save your life on New Year's Eve back then. So,
Nope. Nope.
yeah, you had to hike it.
Wow.
Yeah, I love those. Yeah, those days. Those days were special, man. I almost forgot about those days. Thanks for reminding me.
No problem. So you started out at the regular clubs, then you discovered club music, and then it was the Loft and then the Paradise Garage. And eventually both of those closed. So then what did you do? How did you get your fix?
Wow. Okay, so you had the garage closed. Then you still kind of had like, let me see, I want to say then David went through whatever. So then the Loft kind of closed. And then it became, I want to say Choice. I think Doug might have came back and ran it or something like that. It became Choice. So we got a little fix there, but I mean, it was desperation. I mean, like, I remember going to a party in a church on 2nd Street. You know, like we were partying in the church, man. We tried to party anywhere we could. And then I believe the Sound Factory came. That's when we went to the Sound Factory for a little while. And then, I don't know, the Sound Factory just wasn't sufficient for me. But then Traxx David Depino ended up opening Traxx. And Traxx was predominantly the other way.
Mm-hmm.
But that guy could play. So it didn't matter. We was going in there anyway because, you know, that's where it was. Let me see, I want to say, the Limelight was out. You had a spot around the corner, the World. You had a couple of spots on Broadway, I think 666 or something like that. You had some wild pitch parties. You had Hector,
House
Nation, you know, but the thing is, so many people was trying to find the spot that all they really need to do is just find one spot and be together. So it kind of, you know, like it kind of dwindled.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's when the new school came in.
Explain the new school.
Oh man, oh God, I hated that, bro. I really did. Shout out to the new school though, man. But yeah, I hated you guys. I swear to God. Yeah, man. Yeah, when I first noticed the new school, I'm gonna tell you when I first noticed the new school. I noticed the new school was a party on Broadway, and I don't know if you know Basil, DJ.
Yep. Yeah, DJ
Basil.
Yeah, brother Basil, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm still a little mad with him for this one, but yeah. Nah, but it's all fun and games. So, you know, we was up there doing our thing, and these young guys, they just look different. You know, they had the hair, you know, they dressed different, you know, and, you know, we used to call them like the bobbity bobbity because they, you know, this bobbity bobbity stuff, you know. And I remember Basil telling, I could put this on my life. I remember him telling Ejo, yo, that's the dude to look at right there, you know. And it was like, I didn't really like that. You know why? Because it was like, when we first came on the scene, as far as like my age group, we weren't welcome. You know what I mean? Like you had to really prove yourself to be welcome. And, you know, after like the garage and the Loft and all this stuff closed, it was just different. Like anybody came and then they came and it was like they were kind of turning our flavor to something else. That's how I felt about it. You know what I mean? It wasn't the same thing we was doing. Maybe a couple of them caught on, but they still had a watered down version of what we were doing. You know what I mean? And how we felt about it. And then I felt like they kind of like took it commercial, right along with Japan invading Manhattan and all the rest of the stuff. It was just all coming together at one time. you know. But, you know, some of them were pretty good dancers, but for the most part, I just felt that they were welcome too easy to our stuff. Yeah, I came in after the elders, but still, it was like, this was something that I claimed as well. You know what I mean? So it was like, it wasn't easy for us to be accepted. So these guys came and they were just accepted. And I was like, no, I didn't like that.
One thing I didn't ask about, talk about fashion. When you went out dancing at the Loft in the garage, what would you wear? What was the style for fashion for your dancing?
For me or in general?
Both.
Okay, well, in general, I mean, it was just a lot of loose shirts, you know, women, loose shirts, baggy pants, you know, comfortable shoes. It would easily be Capizios, reminiscent overalls. That was one of my favorites, you know, army fatigue pants, you know, if I wasn't in Capizios, I was in a pair of high top Nikes. And some guys had headbands, some guys hats. It was different, man. But you know, nobody, like, if you came in there dressed up, we knew you either didn't, you know, you fell into this place by mistake. You know, somebody brought you there. You know, but you know, for the most part, everybody was loose, and you pretty much had to change your clothes anyway. You know, because you was definitely gonna go through at least 2 sets of clothes in there if you was really in there dancing.
Let's talk about the music. Describe the type of music that you heard at the garage versus the Loft.
Well, to me, before we get into the music, the mindset of the garage seemed more to me as it was just a big party. And the Loft, it just seemed like it was just dedication all over that place.
What do you mean by dedication?
The music was dedicated to you. You know what I mean? He played it for you, you know, and you felt that way. It was just different, and it was more serious in the Loft. You know, people really, you know, honed in on their craft out there. You know, in the garage, I felt it was a show-off spot. You know, people went there, you know, and then like you had people that wasn't really into dancing in the garage. They were just there to party. They knew it was a hip spot. But when you went to the Loft, you wouldn't get those kind of people in there. When you went to the Loft, it was just all about dancing. You know, so that was the difference. So the music, you know, sound system was, it's like, if you're like, this is the sound system difference to me. The garage was like if you had a Jeep and you put a bunch of speakers in there, a lot of bass, a lot of this, and you know, boom, 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 you know, that was the garage. You went to the Loft, it was like you had some Bose speakers in your car, regular, you know, came factory, and it was just all clarity. You know what I mean? And the music, it had more of a melody to it than the garage. You know, like, it's funny, every time I left the garage, it took a long time for me to even want to, like, my boy would be in the car, he'd be turning the music, I'm like, turn that shit off, turn it up, turn it. Like, I can't hear it, like, I couldn't function anymore, it's just too much. And then, like, the speakers are huge, you know what I mean? People are sleeping in the speakers and, you know, hanging out by the speakers, and it was just a thump for like 3 hours after the club. The Loft, you didn't hear none of that stuff. Like, you didn't have that problem. It was just nice, soft, and the most music the most noise you would hear in the Loft was probably my man Nuwab in the back tap dancing. That's the most noise past the music. You know, I don't know if you ever heard about him, but
no, I didn't. You know, I didn't. Tell us about him.
He had his own spot in there, man. And that guy, man, you go back there, man, you be in trouble. He'll put it on you back there in that corner, man. He put them tap there. He had bowling shoes, man. But like the way David played the music, it was like when the music finished, it'll be just quiet and people be clapping. But while they clapping and they getting ready, he's getting ready to put the next one on, you hear Noir in the back. And then the music comes on and he's just going at it, man. Man. I saw some good stuff in the Loft, man. I mean, like in that 3rd Street Loft, I saw some stuff that I'd never forget on that dance floor, man. Really.
Like what?
Man, I saw it was an anniversary party, man. And we talking about a circle. There was really never circles in the Loft like that. But this night, there was guys I never saw before. People just came out like, I'm like, wow. And I don't think I was that polished yet. So, I stayed away from the circle, but that circle there, I'll never forget it, man. The guys in that circle, I'll never forget, man, to this day. I'll never forget moves they did, man. It was crazy. And then you get those special times when you had like a Michael Dungy Perry thing. You got Mike. Mike could probably do 20 moves before Perry could do 2. But the difference, it was like, Mike was a floor guy and Perry was a sky guy. You know what I mean? So it just looks, it was crazy. I mean, you see this guy on the floor, and can't get no better than that, man. You really couldn't, man.
Wow. Okay, so the garage closed.
Mm-hmm.
The scene was fragmented.
Let me say this for the record. And I've always said this to myself, man. When Perry passed away, even before the garage closed, and even before 3rd Street closed, he took a lot of it with him. It just wasn't there anymore for a lot of us. I'm not even gonna speak for myself. Like I said, it wasn't there anymore for a lot of us. It was a real sad time. And
how did he pass?
It was I want to say in a bar in Brooklyn, some kind of robbery situation, and he just got, caught up in something, It was devastating, man, because it was like, this was the guy that I'm going to say I looked up to, really, on the dance floor. I really did. If you ever could have a hero on the dance floor, that was my hero. And I'm sure he was a lot of others' hero too, But when he passed, he took a lot of it with him, man. Like, you wanted to go to the club to see this guy dance, okay? That's what you wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like, that was the excitement. Like, what is he gonna do next week? You know what I mean? And when he went, man, it's like that thirst was gone. You know what I mean? I got a special moment in the Loft with him, man. Whereas I just got my first pair of white Capezios, man. And when you get white Capezios, you better be able to back up your white Capezios. Okay? So seriously, man. So I guess I guess my boy Chris, he recognized that. And Chris was always like, we know each other from the streets, So Chris was always, Chris would poke at people, you know what I mean? They call it jug at you, poke. He just mess with people, you know what I mean? So I guess this night, and he knew my pedigree. He knew that, yeah, he saw me come in. He seen the steps, he saw that. So this night he said, oh, so you think you ready, huh? And he came over there, man, and he jumped on me, man, and I was there defending myself. You know what I mean? In these Capizios, man. And remember, Capizios, you really don't have any breaks.
No.
And the Loft had a good floor also, you know what I mean? So and I'm surviving, you know what I mean? I'm threading water at this point.
Because you're matching his every move constantly. You're matching his every dance move.
No, I'm just surviving, man. I'm drowning, but I'm just there, you know what I mean? And Chris is, Chris got all these kicks, these stretches, these splits, insane stuff, man. I'm like, oh, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? Like, I wish I was Dorothy right now. I could just click out of here, you know what I mean? And next thing I know, Perry is right there. He's like, hold up, I got him. That's all he said. Hold up, I got him. And I just slid off to the side and Perry just took care of him. And that's when I knew, like from that point on, I kind of knew like I was accepted in this world. You know what I mean? I think they probably saw, the steps that, you take baby steps, you go in there, you look, you wait, you try your stuff, because guys will be, just sitting there, doing their stuff in the corner. But if you're really going to go out there into population and do your thing, you better be able to, handle yourself. So that's my story with Perry and Chris and the Loft and those Capizios.
I love that. So is it fair to say that the Loft was more than a party? It was a family. It was a community.
Yes, absolutely.
Explain that.
Absolutely. Just because of the atmosphere. Like I said, you had to be sponsored, so you go in there. You had to know somebody. So of course, somebody that knows somebody, blah, blah, blah. You bought your own drinks. You could bring your own food. You know what I mean? It wasn't, like the other clubs. It was more of a family. You had couches, and it was just a different atmosphere. And why I want to say it was family oriented, because it was still quaint. It wasn't a lot of people. So you can recognize people's faces, and then you knew if they danced a certain way, just a certain way, and that was being free to your own style, then we knew that you belonged, or they knew you belonged. You know what I mean? So that was the answer to your question.
No, that's incredible. And then let's talk about music. So what kind of music did David play at the Loft?
David was more, he had more, I want to say it classical stuff, more originals. Larry had a lot of remixes in the garage, and like I said, it was as opposed to, your Bose in your factory car, you know what I mean? So the music was you heard it even differently, because these are two different sound systems. But David played stuff, man, that it had a wave to it, man. Like his music just. Have anybody ever told you how David looked when he played his music?
No.
They never told you how he blinked his eyes. Like he stood there and he just went like this, and he just blinked and blinked. Nobody told you that?
Mm-mm.
Ask somebody. What was David's face like when he played the music? And he looked like Jesus, of course, and he was our Jesus. Definitely that.
Would David ever dance?
Never. I never saw David dance. Never. Like you see some DJs, that David just stood there and he blinked a million times, and he just would really but he would be blinking a million times back and forth. And then back then, the drug of choice was like mescaline and stuff like that. So,
Wow.
That'll make you blink.
Oh, that's funny.
I tell you, man, even in the loft, man, it was such a different mixture of people that, you know, I saw like certain drugs for the first time, you know what I mean? In the loft, you know, like they came, I remember this, man, I remember, I think they used to call it ether. There was a couple of people who used to be in there and they used to have this rag. And I guess it was soaked with ether and they would like, you know, be like biting on it all through the night and stuff. I thought that was some weird shit, but it was ether. You know, you had, you know, all kind of drugs was in the loft, man. Like, you know, it definitely was. I know I had a good couple of trips in there, and then I had a good bad trip in the loft too, man, you know. Funny stuff, man, funny stuff. Halloweens, spooky, and all that goblin stuff. That's what the loft was about.
Were there any guest DJs at the loft?
Any guess as far as artists?
Well, like David was the only one that played, or did other people play there as well?
Oh, DJs. Oh,
DJs. Yeah, there's some DJs.
Doug would always play if David wasn't playing, and I want to say Victor Rosado would play. So I want to say that's the only three I really saw play on his stuff. On his stuff. Yeah.
Now, most parties peak at a certain time of the night. For example, like Bang the Party at Frank's Lounge at 1 a.m., like clockwork, E-Man will always play that joint that people will lose their mind. Tell us about at the Loft. Was there a time of the night where the music peaked, or were there multiple peaks, or is that not a way to describe the Loft?
I want to say 6 a.m.
Really?
I want to say 6 a.m. Because remember, like, you know, it starts at 12, you know, and to 6. And we're going to be in there past 12 o'clock again. You know what I mean? So that was like, it's going to change the course of the night now. He's going to bang certain tunes all the way down to that 6 o'clock. And then I believe it's 6 o'clock is when the balloons will fall. Whatever time the balloons fell and that music and that certain record came on, the night was going to flip over into now the partiers go home and the dancers stay. That's how it worked out. Yeah.
Explain the difference between a partier and a dancer.
A partier comes in there and they're not dressed appropriately. They're looking to couple up and, you know, do this and, you know, party with each other and stuff like that, but they don't last long. They don't last long. We just wait them out. They leave, you know, bit by bit. And then like, before you know it, it's like, whoa, okay, we're home now. You know what I mean? And then we start working out. That for me, it was just all about working out, really. It was a workout. You know, it was just happened to be working out through dance.
Mm. What does a loft mean to you?
What does the loft mean to me? Or what did it mean to me? It's gone now, you know, but it was a place of salvation, man. Very simply, it was a place of salvation, man. I know for a fact, if I didn't have enough money to go to the loft and I used up all my resources, I would probably cry. That's how much it meant to me. You know, that And remember again, you're dealing with guys that, we were in the street and stuff like that, when we found something else, and it was that personal, you know what I mean? Like we held on to it because not only was it a salvation going there, but it saved us from doing a lot of other stuff, you figure guys that went to the hip hop spots, they were into a whole lot of bad things, because, you got to show this certain persona, you got to dress a certain way, this and that, And when you came to these parties, you didn't have to do all that. You didn't have to wear a bunch of jewelry and, flash your cars and flash your guns and, say I'm selling this amount of dope and all. That's all it was. That was just competition out there in the hip hop clubs. But this was different. Even when some guys that I knew would like show up at the garage and stuff like that I knew like was still in the street, like I was like, oh, they coming to mess this up. But not knowing that they was probably saying that about us when we was coming in the door too. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I showed them differently that, this was a lifestyle that I was adopting, you know what I mean? Still in the street a little bit, because, you still got to go back to it, you know what I mean? But you knew you was going to show up every weekend. And then it got to a point where it was like, you're trying to party every night of the week, man. And that was hard, Monday nights. Oh shit, man. I used to be able to, run this down. Monday night was a Love People, maybe. Tuesday nights was Traxx. Wednesday nights, I don't remember. Thursday night.
Sound Factory.
Okay.
Sound Factory bar.
Huh?
Sound Factory bar on Wednesday nights.
Okay. That was what, 26th Street, something like that.
Yeah. Thursday.
Man. Thursday. Maybe Thursday was the only night we didn't do something. Because here comes Friday, Saturday, and we also had some Sunday spots too. So it was a point where we was trying to party down there every night for no apparent reason.
What happened to New York nightlife?
Wow. I think, shit, we going back now. I think a lot of the mayors kind of killed New York's nightlife. I think I was gone by then. Well, they were trying to kill it. I think it was like back in like Giuliani days. He started, the stuff, and there's a couple of, and I think there was a club, club back in the days, it burnt down up in the Bronx.
Happy Land, yeah.
Happy Land. A lot of different, incidents started happening. They started kind of clamping down on the hours of operation, which, that kind of probably might have killed some of it. People get older, people get wiser, people don't want to, do certain things anymore. People move away, for the most part. Some people can't do it anymore. The music could make you do some stuff that you really can't do, and you end up hurting yourself, And I don't know, I think it just got, watered down, and these guys started teaching it. And
how do you feel about that?
I don't like it.
Because?
I got friends that do it, and I wish them the best in it, you know what I mean? And that's what they do, and that's what you got to do. That's cool. But I just don't think you could teach a feeling. I never could. I never understood it. You know, they went over to Japan, they started opening dance schools, and they come back and they do dance schools and dance this and dance that. And it's like, nobody taught me how to dance. Nobody taught nobody how to dance. It was in the law. They just wanted to do it. You can't teach a feeling, man. There's no way. You're gonna look like a robot. So, you know, that's just my feeling about it, you know. Maybe I'm jealous. Maybe I should have went to Japan somewhere and taught some dance. I don't know, man, but I just don't like it. You know, we never got down like that back then, you know. It looks so robotic. You know, it's just not, you know.
Let's talk about Japan. In our pre-conversation, you talked about how Japan invaded New York. Explain that.
Well, I don't know, man. I turned around one day, man, and it was just like, yo, where all these Japanese coming from? Like, I couldn't. I want to say this got to be like 90, somewhere around 90, 91, somewhere around there. It's just like flooded. And they pretty much took over the scene. Even when I went back to New York, I want to say about 10 years ago, I went to this club on Varick Street, 7th Avenue. And the guys are good though. You know, they've always been really flexible guys and stuff like that. But I see like, they still don't have that originality. They're still doing something that you can see all over the club, you know, plus maybe one special thing they could do, but it's not really that appealing to me. You know, I just like the old stuff better.
Shelter. What is Club Shelter?
Shelter was cool. Okay. I guess this was the last part of my run in really dancing. And there was maybe a few of us that, you know, were still there from the original, you know, guys and stuff like that. But the Shelter was really the coming out of the new school group, you know. Timmy's a good DJ. The sound system was good. Nice place, nice place. I remember Willie was saying something about the noise in the neighborhood and stuff like that. And actual fact, Robert De Niro came down there and asked to chill out with the music. It was too loud. He lived across the street upstairs from the Shelter. He came down there. That's actual fact. But the Shelter, you had your party people coming out. You had the original dancers, you know, some original dancers in my age group. They were there, and then you had the new school guys that were starting to get it. You know, that was to me the Shelter. I tore my ACL in the Shelter, man, and that was it for me.
Do you remember the movie you were doing?
Oh yeah, definitely do. I was up in the air in a spin, and I came down, and I was going to continue. I was continuing to spin, and I decided, you know what? I'm gonna put the brakes on, and I'm going to go the other way. When I put the brakes on to go the other way, I felt something, and it didn't feel good at all. And I was like, man, this ain't cool. You know, the pride being out there, you know, really, you know, dancing and stuff. I didn't let nobody know what happened. Maybe one person knew what happened. You know, I kind of got off to the side, and I think I might have just left, but it healed up. I didn't know what happened. I didn't go to hospital or anything like that. And probably about 3 weeks to a month later, I went back and, did a couple of moves, and I just felt that it was going to rip again or something. And I was like, nah, that's enough. I think the last time I danced was at my wedding night. Last time I did, last handstand I did was my wedding.
Wow.
And
do you still live in New York now?
I've been in Florida for the last next month will be 25 years.
Wow. What part of Florida?
Tampa.
And why'd you leave New York?
I was just, I don't know. I kind of wanted a change, but at that time, a girl I was seeing, she got pregnant. And, I started thinking ahead, man. I was like, hold up. I don't want to ever raise a kid in New York. And I just decided,
Why?
I don't know. I just didn't want them pretty much following in my footsteps growing up in New York. New York is a tough camp, man. And, the peer pressure is thick. Look at it now. It's horrible to me. When I go back, I love to see my people. I really do. I mean, all my club friends are my friends for life, but I just don't like the place anymore. They know it. They definitely know. I do tell them, I'm like, when you gonna get out of this dump, man? It's not for us anymore, man.
So how do you get your club fixed now?
Flash drives from good friends. Always in whatever car I'm in, it's in there. You know what I mean? That's what I do, man. I just, listen. I know the other Basil. There's two Basils, right? The other Basil, he'll always make sure I got enough music to last me a lifetime. I have 3 young daughters that they love dancing, and they never saw me dance in my life, but they dance, and their favorite song is The Devil's Gun, We Got Our Own Thing. They like to jam off of that. I think it's cute. But yeah, I definitely stay up on the fix though. I don't do a lot of the new stuff and all that. Nah, I like the old original stuff. The other stuff is going back to almost what's the name? It almost sounds techno, man. And then it went all the way around and bringing back techno. It's just like, too complicated for me. I just like the simple stuff.
Oh, that's cool. What advice would you give to the next generation of clubbers?
Hey man, it goes by so fast. Taking all those good times. Have fun. Just experience it, man. This don't have to be your life. You know what I mean? I still have people in my life to this day that's in the club world, and they'll go anywhere for a party, man. I mean, they still chasing. You know what I mean? At some point, you just got to turn it over, man. That's how I get real. Because remember, it was just a party. Remember, your people always say, hey, man, the party's not going anywhere. The same people are going to be there. They're going to be doing the same thing, but that was something we couldn't miss back then. But for the new people, just enjoy it, man, because it goes by really quick, like I'm recollecting now with you, and I'm like, wow, man, like, damn, that went by fast, just remembering certain things, It's like, you can't get that time back either. you know, but just keep working out, man. You know, it's a good thing to do. It's healthy. You know, dancing, you know, is good for your soul. You know, you get to release that. That's what I feel we did a lot of. You know, coming from the different tough environments and situations that we like dealt with throughout the week. Like the weekend was, that's why the weekend was so sacred to us, because we had to get there to release what we had pent up during the week. You know what I mean? And that was real life. So when we get to the party, you know, we get to, you know, let that go. You get to be free. And that's something I saw in the Loft. I saw that in the Loft, you know, where people went there to really let go. You know, you couldn't do that in the garage, but, you know, it wasn't enough space actually to do that. So, you know.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that would help people understand clubbing during your era, the Loft, the garage, nightlife?
That would help them understand?
Like, what's your fondest memory? Do you have a fondest memory of a particular night where a DJ just turned it for you and you're just like, this is my shit?
I gotta go with David Depino on the Traxx, man.
A lot of people reference Traxx, and it doesn't get the love that the garage and the Loft get. But so many people on the low have told me that Traxx was just popping.
The guy can play. Out of three, look, my favorite DJ's always been the three Davids. David Mancuso, David Morales, David Depino. That's it. Everybody else, yeah, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, we could party, but those guys were the ones. But David Depino, especially, I think his music is I want to say in between Larry and David Mancuso. You have David Depino, and I feel like his music is always up tempo. His music is always, let's go, that type of thing. You know what I mean? So I think I'll give it to David Depino's 5 tracks. Yeah. David Morales too. His music was, yeah. It's the Davids, man, for me, man. It's the Davids. Yeah. You know, we used to go to Zanzibar, stuff like that across the bridge, you know.
Tell people about Zanzibar.
Tony Humphrey and Zanzibar was.
Where was it?
Hey, man, Zanzibar was funny. Wednesday nights, Zanzibar. Okay, that was a Wednesday night. So we'd take the PATH train over and stuff like that. I think they closed around 3 o'clock, 3 a.m., something like that. We would go over there and destroy Zanzibar, man. Destroy it. Tony Humphrey was another up-tempo, boom, 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 you know that. And, you know, half of the people in there were just zonked out, man. You know, we go to Zanzibar and, you know, we want action and we dancing and you know, they had a couple of guys from Jersey that was, you know, decent, but they were all on these pills, man. And they were all like nodding out in the club and we didn't understand that, you know what I mean? Like, I think it was called Sebers and Codeine stuff. And, you know, these guys, y'all, you know, girls. Zanzibar was a trip, man, but Zanzibar, Tony Humphrey could play, you know, there was some good music in there, man. Some good music in there. Nice club, decent club, connected to an old hotel and stuff, man, right on Broad Street. And Yeah, decent club, man. We had some fun over there. Go over there and destroy them people, man. Oh,
Wow. Wow. Talk to us about the transition from club music to house music. Because you experience both.
yeah. The transition, club music to house music. That's gotta be, yeah. I think house music, I don't really see a difference to club music and house music.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. Now, club music and house music, that's a tough question, man. That's really a tough question. But I want to say maybe the music changed right around the 90s when the Japanese invaded Manhattan, because the new school had arrived. The old school was, withering out. So the demands wasn't, what we wanted anymore. It was what they wanted. And they were to the bop, to the bop, to the bop. So, when you're doing that, you're already playing a whole different kind of music than what we're used to. So I'll say the house music probably came in, 90s, early 90s. And the club music just stayed where it was. I don't even think The Shelter was club music. I think The Shelter was house music.
Yeah, exactly.
The club music died out with the garage, with the loft, with the Traxx, and stuff like that. And house music was born.
Exactly.
With the boopity boppity boop, That's what they did, man. I mean, that's what they did, man. That's what they did. I promise you. Their attire was different. They wasn't there to, they wasn't there to look like they was there to sweat. They were there, they had like jeans on, baggy jeans. They used to have like these black kind of, what was it? Maybe some Doc Martens back then or some other stuff. The E-Joes, the Voodoo Rays, stuff like that, I remember, Voodoo Ray, when he came to the loft, and he had to give lessons.
Explain that.
To be honest, it never really dawned on me till somebody sent a picture of it, of me showing him the ropes in the loft, because like I said, in the loft, it wasn't like, a matter of fact, it wasn't even a loft then, it was the Choice. He never been to the loft. He came in when the Choice, when Richard Vasquez was playing in the building. Okay. That was, 3rd Street Loft, and then David left, and then Richard took over, and it became Choice. And that's when the new group started coming in. But some of us were still there. So we had to welcome them, to the scene. So you can probably look on my Facebook and probably find that photo somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It says, I think it says new school teaches old school teaches new school. Yeah.
Wow. those are the questions that I had. Anything else you want to talk about?
Just it's just like I just left New York a few weeks ago, right? And to me, it's just a little sad when you really don't see anybody really like I said, like since the garage and the loft and those places closed, like and even the shelter, they never really ever really had a home again, And I went back there and I saw people in parks and people got to throw a house party, people got to this, it's just so much you got to do, and now you're outside, and then this group is doing this one. It's just like it's so many different parties. But my thing is, it would be a better party if only one person had a party and all the rest started being, in attendance. And I have a question. Man, why do so many people, so many dancers, they just left the dancing alone and started DJing? Like, how many DJs can they possibly be out there? Like, y'all trying to bring something back together, or are you? I don't know. Or do you just want to have your little separate little, I don't know, because I think it'll be a better atmosphere under one roof. That's what we're used to. That's where it comes from. That's why everybody doing this is so watered down. You got this, you got that, you got this, who knows what they're doing in there? It doesn't make sense to me, man, Like everybody wants their own thing. Everybody. Oh, like you go to New York, right? Like for me, I go to New York. Hey man, what's happening tonight? Well, such and such and such and such and such and such and such. Like, I'm like, what? And you trying to go to all of them? Yeah, man. Well, I'm gonna be here to such and such. And I'm like, really? That's a lot of energy to be this age and doing that. It's like, come on, man. Like, at one point, do you say, hey, man, this shit just ain't working no more? I like when they have the situation in Miami. I've been down there a couple of times, That's pretty cool. But up in New York, it's like, you got stuff in Bushwick, you got stuff in Harlem, you got stuff in Flatbush, you got 3 different parks, they having something. Then you got Coney Island. I'm like, how do you decide? It's like, remember that song, I want to see all my friends at once. You know what I mean? You can't do that with everybody doing their own thing, man. I wish they would just come together at least, for the sake of that.
Is there a scene in Tampa? Or do you just not even look for it when you move down there? Like when you first moved there, did you try to find the spots to go out, or you just gave it up?
It was no, wasn't a scene like that. I feel that they can be a scene like that here, being that like in Tampa, so many people come from New York, but the younger people are coming to school here. And that's where you get, you would get that crowd from, but I always thought about it. I was like, maybe I should open a club here. But what I would have to do is get a busload of people from New York and sprinkle them into the building and let them set the tone of what this club should be. And then they could leave.
Would the Loft work today?
I think that's one of your favorite questions, isn't it?
So you watch my interviews.
Can it work today? Wow. I think so. And then, that's a tough question. Yeah, it can work today. I'll tell you why it can work today. It might sound crazy, but I think it could work today. And because right now you have a mixture going on in New York City with the gentrification and all that stuff. And when I visited, I see how friendly the others can be, and that's what the Loft was about too. You know what I mean? Like, there was no specific race; it was everybody. You know what I mean? And everybody got along. So, yeah, I think it could work. I think it could work. Matter of fact, I think it could work because, like, even from what I've seen, the people in the park, it's still a good mixture. They just need to take it inside somewhere and, set certain standards. And yeah, I think it could work. Once you got love and love of music, yeah, it could work.
How important was baby powder to your flow?
Not important. Not important. I was I don't know, I was a power move guy. That's what they said. So you need a little grip for power moves, you know what I mean? So powder wasn't in the shelter, yeah, you need a little bit of powder, because you got people with drinks, so some parts of the floor might get a little sticky or something. So you might want to, get some powder on that. But for the most part, you practice without powder. You know what I mean? So when you go out there, you should be okay without powder. Now, if you practice with powder, then I guess you can't do nothing without powder. I mean, you see people going crazy, man. I actually made some shirts years ago, and I gave it out to, a lot of guys, that I looked up to, original guys that I danced with and stuff. And it was a shirt that said created from wood and powder. And it had like the year they started dancing on the side and stuff like that. It was a nice shirt. I wish I still had one, but I know a few guys have still got them. But powder wasn't, space was more important than powder, but powder, nah, you can really hurt yourself on powder if you really doing some stuff.
Even some of the new clubs in Brooklyn, they have concrete floors. And I'm like, look at the dancers. I'm like, yo,
that's bad for your knees, man.
Take it easy. That's not a good look at all.
That's bad for you. One thing about 3rd Street Loft, the floor might have been, they could have a couple nails sticking out, a couple pieces not too good, but the floor had give. A good dance floor is a floor that has a little give to it, Yeah, that 3rd Street floor, boy, you better know where you at, or you could come out there bleeding. And then, you see have a guy, Peter Pan, used to leave out of there bleeding, man, knees busted up, man. I mean, I seen some stuff in that Loft, man. Like guys dancing for real hard and woo, coming out there with blood. Shout out to Peter Pan, wherever you at, man. This shit.
Awesome. Yeah, those are the questions that I had.
Yeah, man. I had fun, man. Just, rewinding the times,
I appreciate you sharing your story for those of us that weren't there. We've always heard about it, but we've heard of it, but to hear from people that were actually there and to describe it, you realize it was a very special time in dance, special time in nightlife, and a special time in New York. That, you know, the scene has changed so much. A lot of the venues are gone. New York has become about commercial luxury real estate. So profit and loss wise, a condo building is going to win over a club.
Any
So
day.
yeah, it's a tough thing.
Any day. But you see, another thing too is a lot of people don't like to spend money to go to the clubs, man.
Explain that.
And it's always baffled me, man, because it's like, you know, friends of mine, non-friends of mine, you see, you hear them, you know, I don't want to pay for that. I don't want to, and it's like, we have this thing about us, man. It's like, I don't want to make them rich, or I don't want to be supporting their movement, and I don't want to be, it's like, come on. Seriously? If you want to go have a good time, be prepared to pay what it costs. That's it. It ain't got to be all that, but it's just so much like division in the club scene, it seems like. Everybody's competing against each other, and their clicks differently. You know, they're kind of, you know, they clicking in, you know, we only go to this club, we only hang out here, we only. There should be one particular spot that y'all could go to. Y'all could have the gay people on Saturday, the straight people on Friday, just like how it was set up, and y'all could go have a good time. You know, have your guest DJs come in, or have your certain DJ that's doing it. What's that guy? The last party I went to in New York, what's his name, man? Little Louis Vega. You know, he has his little following and stuff like that. That's still not like what I really want to go party to, because that's still like, it's still a little different for me. It's just not as, you know, from where I'm coming from, but he has to do what he got to do to keep what he's going on. So, you know, I commend all of them, but, you know, certain stuff just not for me, man. You know, I'm content with the memories. You know, I'm content with that. You know, life has more to offer than that. You know, I can't see myself just trying to get to a party every weekend. I can't do that. You know, at some point you just gotta say, hey man, that's enough. You know, music's always gonna be in you, man. You know, it's always gonna be there, man. It's always gonna be a part of you. You know, this is gonna be always a part of you. What you did is gonna be always a part of you. But you know, you guys got, man, 70 years old. People 70 years old, man, and still dancing. You know, still trying to get to that same club. You know, and still seeing the same people. Sometimes, I mean, I don't want to offend people and stuff like that, but it's a little too geriatric for me. I'm gonna keep it a buck, man. It's just a little too geriatric for me. Like I already know I'm getting old. I already know everybody else getting old, but the shit don't look right. You know, I'm seeing canes, I'm seeing walkers, and it's like, yeah, man, we love you. You love the music and all that, man. But come on, man.
The reason I'm laughing is because a really good friend of mine always loved the music, but never really was in the scene. Mm-hmm. But I would give him like mixtapes and CDs, and he loved it. He was like, yo, this is banging. Like, you know. So you know, when I started my YouTube channel, I mean, the Facebook group, whatever, a year ago, and he will look at the videos of some of the parties, which I'll leave nameless. And he said exactly what you said. He said, that shit don't look right. He's like, if I'm an outsider looking at this scene and you're telling me that this is magic and music or whatever, and I see somebody with the cane, I see somebody on that folding chair on the lawn, And he's like, I'm not gonna go to that party, and I'm not gonna tell any of my friends to go to that party, you know. And I couldn't disagree with him, you know, because that's how it looks from the outside in.
You know what I think? I think a lot of the people my age are still doing this. I think they never came to an ending. You know, I think like the way how clubs were and they shut down, it's like they abruptly shut down on us. You know what I mean? And I don't think they really, you know, got to that point, man. And I've been saying this for years, man. And you know, I swear to you, man. I mean, I just came back a few weeks ago, man, and I went to a little area between Farragut and Fort Greene. They got the little park right there, Cumberland or whatever.
Commodore
Whatever
Barry.
park, somewhere down there. And you know, I'm sitting back and I'm watching the whole thing, and it's like most of the people that's there, they're on the lawn chairs, just like you said, anyway. But it's like I'm seeing. I mean, like really, to be honest, there's a lot more people bent over than standing straight up. And I'm not gonna give my last to the party. Hey, look, man, the parties is not paying my mortgage, man. You know what I'm saying? The parties is not taking care of my kids. The parties is not trying to create generational wealth or leave something behind. Yeah, I left a couple moves behind. You know what I mean? But that, nah, man, it don't look right. You know, like you said, like, I mean, you could have your flash drives with all the music you want and all that. I don't need to see somebody and remind you. It's a terrible reminder that you don't know when to let go. Personally, that's how I personally feel, you know. And you know, every weekend, 3, 4, 5 parties, and you know what I mean? And they going. But like, do you own anything? I want to know how many people that's really chasing this club still is my age. What do you own? And what are you leaving behind? If you start counting backwards, okay, I'm 56, so I got 14 years till I get to 70. You start counting backwards at this age, what are you gonna do? Yeah, they're gonna post you on Facebook. Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah, he was a good dude. Yeah, da, da, da. That's it. But if you really want to be remembered, do something memorable, man. You know what I'm saying? And that life is, you know, come on, man. It's like you grew up, you play Skelly. You gonna play Skelly for the rest of your life? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. For real, man. It's like,
Yeah.
And then you want to bitch about, you still want to do it, but then you want to bitch about the price. Come on, man. The prices, people got to live. So how you gonna get mad at this price? The DJ got to get paid. The place got to get paid for. You know what I mean? And the security and all the rest of the stuff, and you bitching about $20. And you're the one that's chasing this party. The party ain't chasing you, because the party gonna be there regardless. You know, and that's something I always, you know, like, I ain't always want to tell them that, but it's like, it's been on my mind, you know, like, come on, man. You know, teaching, you know, with the teaching and stuff, they got to make a living. I guess they found a loophole to make a living, because I don't think there's one of them besides my man Jeff Selby doing the new style hustle, right? I don't think there's none of them besides him that should even be doing that shit. Really, because, you know, you can't teach a feeling, man. And that's what it was for all of us. Man, you get lost in the music. You're lost in music. Come on, man. It's crazy.
That's the perfect way to end it right there.
Yeah.
That was perfect. I appreciate you, brother, for reaching out. I appreciate your time for this interview. All right, so you have a good evening. And
You
we'll
do the
talk.
same, man.
All right.
God bless, man, and we'll definitely catch up.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good night.
Peace.
All right. Peace.